Coming in at number 65 on our 100.
Number 65.
On our 100 best movies of all time list is 2002's The Ring.
7 days.
We don't have that many horror movies on this list either. Not that much horror, not that much comedy.
No.
So if you're in those genres, you got to be good. And The Ring is one of the most terrifying things I've ever seen.
Well, this is one of the movies that our producer Rob Coble really pushed for. He is a huge horror aficionado. You know, back in 2002, horror was kind of a dead or dying genre. It was ailing at the very least. There wasn't a lot of originality going on back then. So what happened is Hollywood looked to Japanese horror. There was a very successful movie called Ringu. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly.
Right, yeah.
And so Hollywood said, hey, let's take that, let's make that into an Americanized version. They hired Naomi Watts. They hired one of your favorite directors.
Gore Verbinski. And back then, he actually knew how to make a movie that was less than 2.5 hours.
Oh, take that, Gore. Baboom!
Martin Henderson played the male lead, but you don't really remember any of that.
No.
All you remember is the freaky thing that's on the videotape, and then you start to look at your own collection of tapes and DVDs and everything else that you have in your life, and you're like, oh my God, could there be something as terrifying as a piece of media that you watch that curses you forever? You have 7 days after you watch something in this movie.
You get a phone call, and that's it. But you know, that's the great thing about it, and I think that's the reason why it connects with us, is it plays off of the urban legends that not enough movies take advantage of.
Right.
And it does feel
It's not
like...
a boogeyman. It's not
a slasher thing
psycho
or a
guy.
torture
It's not
thing.
Texas Chainsaw.
It feels like if there was a supernatural element out there, and you know, I have my doubts, but if there is, this feels like the way it would manifest itself in the world. You know,
Through some whispered secret story
through
thing.
some
and then
inadvertent mistake that you would make, and suddenly you would die 7 days later. What would you do with those last 7 days? You probably played Red Dead Redemption again.
a lot of Red Dead, a lot of Batman, Arkham City. But we do have a review of The Ring. Let's take a look at that right now.
What if watching a movie could kill you? Miri, how do you feel about The Ring?
I would be dead if watching movies could kill me. I really liked it. I thought it was a really interesting, more psychological thriller or horror film, because there's definitely horrific aspects to this movie. I like the fact that it doesn't rely on a lot of blood or violence to get scares or thrills, but I think a lot has happened in the horror and thriller genres since this movie was made. So, you know, obviously it's not going to feel quite as groundbreaking. This was based on a very popular Japanese horror film, so it has that going for it. And Naomi Watts is in it and has that going for it.
It's got that.
And I think it looks great on Blu-ray. It's got this really cool, bluish, moody feeling that looks amazing in 1080p.
Yeah, I totally agree. The transfer is amazing
Yeah, it's
here.
beautiful.
It's such like a cold, like digital, sort of lifeless film, and that bluish, greenish really does pop on the Blu-ray
and their skin
conversion.
tone, and there's just this very somber feeling to the film.
Watching that review, Vic and I figured out our Halloween costumes this year. I'm going to go as girl with wet black hair crawling out of TV, and you?
Spooky videotape.
You videotape.
Congratulations, The Ring, number 65.